Andre Jacque, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the show. So,
Thanks, Polly.
let's see. Who are you? And what's your story? You said starting as a boy.
So, I was born in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Not that far from the capital, although I never visited the capital until I was a student at UW-Madison. But
I haven't been yet, so.
Well, you should. It's a beautiful building.
I'm sure I'll get there soon.
It's got its challenges inside the building, but.
Well.
So, growing up in Beaver Dam, my first 10 years, my dad was a plumber. Of course, after he moved to Green Bay, he became a plumbing inspector for the city. But my mom was a French teacher and librarian in the Dodgeville School District. But she stayed at home to raise myself and my sister, my older sister, and then a younger brother that came along. And so obviously I have
Where do you fall in?
I'm a middle child.
You're a middle child. Ah, me too.
So both of my parents come from very large families. My dad's one of 12. My mom's one of 7.
Wow.
Now my wife and I have 5 children.
Following in suit.
Well, so but
kind of.
but yeah, so just the middle child of 3, and just trying to think about where to go from here in describing everything. It's moving to Green Bay was a little bit of
How old were you when you?
10.
10. Okay,
Yeah.
so very transitional year for
Yes.
a lot of people.
Yes. So and had some issues initially kind of fitting in at school, but always very very focused on academics, and so I really continued in that vein. Was always kind of a shy kid, kept to myself, and my trying to think if there's anything else that I would really point out about those formative
early
years. Yeah, but certainly, I've always had great respect for my parents. They're my heroes. They really instilled the importance of faith and hard work, and they just have always been model citizens. That was really one of the things. My parents always voted. We always went to church every Sunday, and oftentimes during the week for any number of activities as well. And I can recall, they donated blood, whether that was in Beaver Dam or Green Bay. They'd even take me along with, and that was something that I really wanted to do as well. But I had this fear of needles and sharp objects.
Me too.
And
no needles for me.
It was something that I just couldn't get over. In high school, I was in National Honor Society, so we were in charge of staffing the blood drives. I would sign up all day, and I would always sign up to donate blood at the end of the day. And wouldn't you know it, but every time when it was my time to donate, I just wasn't feeling well enough. Something that I was fine
triggered
that whole day, but I just all of a sudden I wasn't feeling well. Couldn't donate. And and there are different things that fed into that. I even would have my parents sign up to donate blood to give me care. Didn't work. But when I came back from college, when I started working for Brown County in the city.
For?
So I was in the Medical Scholars Program, but I also was interested in political
medical,
science.
Huh?
Yes. So that's a whole bunch of other. I'll get to that in just a second.
Okay.
So basically, the long story short, I have managed to, without ever looking at my arms, get past the donating blood to the point where now I donate platelets. So I'm about I think a 16, 17 gallon blood donor now, because I can do the triple unit 3 apheresis. So
got over the fear.
I think and that's just it. If God can help us grow so much and do things that we never thought that we were capable of. So, but yes. So
afraid of needles, but yet going to school for medical.
Yeah, so that would have been a big issue during the surgical rotation. I should point out, my interest was always more in medical research than being a general practitioner. But yes, that would have been certainly, that was something that I kept at the back of my mind. Dissection was not a strong point for me.
See, I love dissecting things, so that would have been great.
So I took the honors pre-med curriculum, but I was also taking political science and public affairs courses. I actually always saw that as I'd already become kind of politically active throughout high school, and so I figured that would factor in more so as a hobby. But I was taking upper level poli-sci courses right away. One of the great things when I graduated from Green Bay Southwest, I had mid-junior standing at UW-Madison. So everything that I took was either
transferred.
It was all of my breadth and depth credits were taken care of. I basically had one cultural studies, one literature course, and everything else was either for my major or for just an area of personal interest, which is what I considered politics at that point. And I think part of it,
Who knew?
Getting involved in campus, one of the concerns that I certainly had was some of the activities that were going on in terms of experimentation with what we found out were human body parts, embryonic stem cells, things of that nature, where I had professors basically telling the class in lectures that if there's something that you think maybe has the potential to do some good, that you basically should just go ahead and do it and figure out the ethical questions later. And to me, that was extremely concerning. And some of these professors actually had their labs taken from them down the road when they had ethical, transgressions, indiscretions. So, ultimately, public affairs is kind of what I settled in. I came back to be the Brown County grant writer, served in that role for the city of Green Bay as well.
So if I need help writing grants, I know who to go to.
Well, I certainly try to help out a lot of groups. I'm still very active in a lot of nonprofit activities. And then basically after having run a lot of campaigns for people that I still consider friends, I decided to run myself, in part because even if you line up with people on the issues, it's hard to get their passion to match yours exactly in the way that you would spend that political capital, the issues that you would work on. And so this was just an opportunity for me to continue to see what impact I could make in the political sphere, because
Mr. Shy Guy.
It was something that I was having a lot of success with. Well, I will say that was something where I was involved politically, but it wasn't until much later that I actually thought, hey, maybe I could do this. It wasn't that I was writing the speeches, I was doing the block and tackling of politics, but I didn't have that big name. I didn't have fame or fortune or even the connections really at that point. It was but something where
so you started
the
small.
opening occurred, and I had to prepare for that. But so I worked in local government, but I never ran for local office, and then was able to come into the state assembly in the 2010 elections, defeated a Democratic incumbent after winning a primary, and so I've been in the legislature since then.
Probably around that time, because how old's your oldest?
So my oldest is 11.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 12. 12, 11, 7, 5, and 3. We always have birthdays, and then it resets the order. Yes. Yeah. So
because I remember starting to watch your kids at church when he was like 1.5, 2.
Probably right around.
Around when you were
right
just
around the time that I was
political
elected.
field.
Yes, and that was always my youngest, who isn't that young anymore, but when you and your mom were helping watch him at the church during Bible study, I would hear just stories of your mom or somebody saying oh, your dad's doing this great work at the Capitol, or just encouragement that meant a lot to me as a dad, because that's one of the big sacrifices that you make to be in political life. Is you have to be out there, you have to be available to the community, and it also means that sometimes you're down in Madison overnight, especially those earlier years before we had the time limits on debate. It's much friendlier now for family life. But
I remember your little guy missing Dad.
Well, it was a pretty chaotic time too. If you recall back to the 2011, we had Act 10 and some of the anytime that you have a swing from total Democratic control to total Republican control, or even if the parties are reversed, it's a significant enough
a lot of
change
turmoil that happens.
Yeah, there's just some within the political establishment, there are things that crop up, and so that certainly was a tumultuous time, but we got through it. So
you made it.